I'm Lindsay, and welcome to the Intuitive Psychologist podcast. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, and I've been in the mental health field for over 15 years. During my spiritual awakening, I've realized that psychology is really missing the mark. I believe that traditional therapy combined with spirituality can actually lead to long-term healing and growth. And I've actually had the luxury of seeing this happen within my own private practice, where I've tried to incorporate the two together. My intention for this podcast is to discuss my opinions about spirituality and therapy, and I like to do it in a fun way. My hope is that I'll inspire other people to explore different ways to improve their lives. But I'd also like to normalize what many people have been going through or are currently going through, so that you can know that you're not alone and that you're not crazy. And maybe along the way I can inspire a few therapists along the way to actually think outside the box and to offer their own version of intuitive healing. If this is interesting to you, then join me on this journey as we try to have fun and explore an informal way to bridge the gap between psychology and spirituality. Hello again, friends. Welcome back. So today I'd like to talk about manifestation. I took a whole bunch of notes and really want to take this serious because I feel like this is something that we either all want to do or we're scared or have tried it maybe and it didn't work. And so it's really important, and yeah, I really want this one to go well. Not that I haven't want the other ones to go well, but I don't know, manifestation is such a big topic. So I've got my notes. I'm ready to go. Let's see how this pans out. First and foremost, I want to give some acknowledgments to the two people that I think in the podcast world and the woo-woo world that have really helped to hone in some manifestation tools. And I think that if either you feel like this was like a didn't really hit it for you, go check these two people out. If you're already interested in them, then you probably know this and you may hear some similar concepts, but they've got really good ways on how to manifest. So check out Soberish, Jessa Reed's podcast. She talks a lot about manifesting and the 2-cup method. I've tried the 2-cup method and it hasn't worked for me yet, but it may just be that I don't believe in it yet. So we'll see. And then Noah Lampert's Synchronicity podcast. Wow, if I could get that word out. His podcast is really good. He's like the magical manifester, and he can manifest some pretty wild and crazy shit. So if you like this topic and you feel like this wet your whistle, but you'd like to go deeper, or anything as it relates to manifestation, those two are really good resources to sort of take it to the next level. Also, you may hear some of the similar stuff, and so I don't want to like just totally copy somebody else. But yeah, I wanted to give them a shout out. And I also wanted to start off by saying that I don't have this perfect, okay? I am not Noah Lampert where I can just think it and make it reality. I tried his method numerous times and couldn't quite get there. There were some things where he would do like a group manifestation and some wild ass crazy shit happened, and I have it in my notes for like, I take woo-woo notes, because when you first start having your spiritual awakening, there's a lot of crazy shit that happens that you're like, did I just make that up? Am I going crazy? Wild stuff. So anyway, I wrote some of it down, but it's so buried deep in all my notes, so I don't remember. So when I've done his like group, let's all get together and imagine something together, I was able to actually produce some pretty wild and intense stuff. So maybe I need to try it again now that I'm a little bit deeper into the woo hole. All right. So also follow me on Instagram. I am trying to write more about manifestation It's written in simple terms, all the steps that I'm about to walk you through in more depth today, but follow me on my Instagram. It is at the_intuitive_psychologist_111. And yeah, I'm really sorry, that's a long one. But there were too many similarities. I wanted to make sure that I could stand out so that if I ever did a podcast and somebody was looking for me, they would know which one was me. So I'm sorry, it's long. I probably just said it should have done like Intuitive Psych 111. Anyway, nonetheless, please follow my Instagram. I'll be doing weekly meditations on Wednesdays. The specific time is to be determined. I'm thinking California time, mid-afternoon to early evening, just to do a quick check-in of like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of some meditations that have been super helpful for some of my clients. So check me out on that as well. And TikTok, I'm occasionally on there, but right now I'm trying to focus most of my attention on my Instagram. Also, I'm going to throw it out there. In my attempts to begin to manifest my next dream, which is to take my private practice to a whole woo level, or should I say a whole woo world. And I would sing the Aladdin song right now, A Whole New World, but I'm not going to do that to y'all and like break your eardrums or make your cats or dogs start going, oh. But anyway, insert that in your own beautiful voices, a whole woo world. I am going to try to make reality in the next month or less, but there's no timeline to this, but I'm giving myself a timeline to kind of put the fire under my ass. Anyway, I'm going to keep moving forward. That I am going to be trying to open up and provide spiritual services, which will not be therapeutic services, because that's where my license comes in and stops me from being able to provide anything outside of California. But I am trying to step out and start assisting folks outside of California. And I think that the only way I can do that, where I'm providing a different service and my license doesn't kick in and grab me by the balls, is to provide spiritual services. So again, it'd be a lot different than the providing like traditional therapy or even spiritual therapy. This, I'm working with my legal team to sort of hammer out the details so that I don't get into trouble, because you can get into a lot of trouble, any of my therapists out there, at least psychology. Social work and LMFT might be different, but for any of my mental health people that have a license, be sure that you're smart, because you can get into a lot of trouble for practicing outside of the states that you're licensed in. So look for that. I'm going to be putting a lot of time and effort this week into hammering out those details so that I can actually start to provide my spiritual services to the community. So I will keep y'all up to date as that's going on. I'm on the Imagination Project website for Jessa Reed. However, since I am under the heading of providing mental health services, I am stuck to only providing therapy in California. So check out her Imagination Project. It is really great. She manifested that, where she is helping to connect people that need woo-woo services, mental health services from spiritually awakened mental health professionals, and connecting the community in a really beautiful way. So check out the Imagination Project. That's spelled with a Z. So Imagination is Z-I-O-N, not T-I-O-N. But if you just look up Jessa Reed, you'll find her. You'll be able to link all that stuff. So yeah, that is where I'm planning to head. And for now, let's get into manifesting. So first and foremost, the very first and most important thing to do is to know what you want to manifest and be specific. really need to know what it is that you want, which is why I'm kind of like floundering a little bit with my spiritual stuff, because I'm like, I've been taking shamanic courses, which I've been in love with, and I have all this spiritual training and spiritual awakening and all these cool things, but how do I make it my own thing so that it's not therapy? Because I can get in a lot of trouble. So I can't have it be therapy. But anyway, so be very specific as to what you want, and set the intent that when you're trying to figure out what specifically it is that you want, set the intention that this is going to be for your highest and greatest good. Because you may want a Ferrari, but a Ferrari may not be what's in your highest and greatest good. And so, like, when it comes to relationships, you may want a specific person that you manifest them to love you. But I will tell you right now, picking a person is not in your highest and greatest good, because you don't know that that person is in your highest, greatest good, or that you are in their highest and greatest good. So set that intention that when you start to think about this and you start to write down what you want, have it in the back of your head that the specifications are with the intent of it being in your highest and greatest good. Now, imagine that what you're doing is you're sort of sitting down, and I think it was Jessa Reed who sort of said this, and I really like the way she said it, but she said, imagine that you are sitting down and ordering off of the menu from the universe, right? So the universe is your waiter, and you are ordering your perfect partner. When you write down what you specifically want, do not use I don't want this, or not that, universe, or everything but this. No, because the universe doesn't understand the buts, the ors, any of that. All they hear is anger issues. So if you go, I want a guy who doesn't have anger issues, all the universe is going to hear is anger issues. There you go. Serve it right up. Hot, steaming pile of anger issues. So you might need to write this list a couple of times to really sort out specifics as to what you want and how you want it. So play along with that. Now, this is where a lot of what the law of attraction sort of came up with, and I don't know if y'all remember that fad about 10 or so years ago, and it was all anyone could talk about was law of attraction. Do your vision boards. Think it and you can make it happen. And I even read a book, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, kind of along the same lines, right? If you think about red Volkswagen Beetles, they will show up as if magically, poof, they showed up. I don't necessarily buy that. What I think and what I've learned, at least in psychology, is that if your attention is on seeing red Volkswagen Beetles, then you will see it. You will see all the ones that were already driving around anyway, that you weren't paying attention to before. Kind of like, you know, when you buy a new car and all of a sudden all you can see is that car driving around. You're like, whoa, where did this come from? Feels like magic. I haven't bought into that yet. Maybe I will one day, and I will look back at this and maybe do Manifesting 2.0 and be like, so remember that time when I was like, yeah, that's bullshit. It's magic, and that isn't real, that you can just create things into your reality like that. I might fucking put my foot in my mouth and say, whoops, I was wrong. But at least that's the way I see it for now, is you can't just think it and poof, it becomes a reality per se. Right? Sometimes yes, but for like really big stuff, not always. So I felt like the law of attraction started with a good idea, right? You have to think, you have to be specific, you have to know what you want. And then there is a piece where you do have to sort of let things go. But there's a lot of extra steps that I think that the law of attraction sort of missed out on. And so that's what I'm going to go through here. I think a big key factor when it comes to manifestation is looking at your belief. Do you believe that you can manifest? Do you believe that you're worthy of a wonderful relationship? Do you believe that you are good enough to have your financial needs met? Do you believe in abundance? Maybe you still have a lack mentality when it comes to love or to money or to work or to friends or to relationships, not even romantic ones. Maybe you don't believe in abundance. Maybe you don't believe that good things happen to good people. So let's put a pin in this one for a moment. And this is where, as a therapist, I get to come in and to be like, let's look at your core beliefs, right? What's so funny about this is going through the spiritual awakening, right? Talking about manifestation and all these like woo-woo terminology, and then sort of going, wait, there's some parallels between some woo-woo beliefs and psychology. So there's actually research to back this up. Cognitive behavioral therapy is one of the most popular forms of therapy at this point. It is one that insurance companies love to pay out for because it's evidence-based. So it means there's been a lot of research to show that this is an effective form of treatment. It's quick, so you can get a lot of work done in a very short amount of time. Many communities out there like and enjoy a cognitive behavioral approach because we don't have to go into the stories, we don't have to go into the traumas, we don't have to do all these specific things that a lot of the other treatments do, and it's fast and doesn't have a lot of like, ooh, let's go into our feeling states as much. So cognitive behavioral therapy in a nutshell is simply the process and belief and theory that if you change the way that you think, you change the way that you believe about things, yourself, the world, that will change your behaviors, and your behaviors will then change your environment. That's manifestation, motherfuckers. Your thoughts create your reality is the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy. So if you believe that the world is unsafe and that you don't know how to navigate the world to protect yourself, most likely you're going to be an anxious person. You're going to have fears and anxieties and go through the world only seeing the things that prove that the world is scary and that you are not able to protect yourself. You are going to behave as if the world is scary and you cannot protect yourself, which then has the environment reflect back to you, the world is scary and you do not know how to protect yourself. Another example, let's say with a depressed person who believes that they're not good enough, right? That they are a piece of shit. They'll never change. They'll never be a good enough person. They'll always be a loser. So that's their belief, right? I'm a loser. I suck. That creates this feeling of sadness and depression. So then when they behave, if something, let's say that they take a test and they believe that they're not good enough to pass this test, that's their belief. They go into the test. Maybe they're nervous as well. And they go in and they can't focus. Maybe they didn't sleep the night before because they felt, oh, I'm such a loser. I suck at math. I'm not going to be able to do this. They couldn't sleep the night before. That's changing their environment. They wake up in the morning in a slump. They feel like shit. They know that they're going to fail. Then they go to the test. Maybe they're running late because, when your brain is scattered, you can't really find things. You don't do things like you normally would in a speedy manner. Maybe you lose stuff and you're like, see, I'm just a fucking piece of shit. Such a loser. Here I am again, right? Can't get my shit straight. I'm fucking late to my test, whatever. So then they go in and they rush into the test. They're not in a good headspace. So then they go into the test and they see a couple of hard problems. And instead of going, okay, it's a hard problem, let me just do my best and move on, they go, see, look, I'm a loser, I can't do this, this just proves how much I'm going to fail it. Then they focus on the questions that they can't get right and waste time, and maybe they run out of time and they don't get a good grade because they didn't believe that they could. So now the environment has reflected back to them. They manifested exactly what they thought was, I'm not good enough, I suck at math, and I'm going to fail this test. Well, buddy, you just created that. You literally just created that with your thoughts. Let's take love, for instance, right? What's interesting is almost all of my clients come into therapy because of relationships. But when we get to the core, there's always so much more going on. And relationships is just how it manifests for people and then motivates them to sort of come in and get help because they're like, well, I can't find love. So let's go to love. Let me use myself as an example. In my relationships, I believed that relationships, you settle, you're unhappy, you're with a partner who doesn't value you, your opinion, your thoughts don't matter, especially as a woman, that a man's thoughts, feelings, opinions outweighed whatever a woman wanted or thought, that as a woman, you are supposed to keep the peace, even at the expense of yourself, that everyone else should be happy. You being happy, not so important. Now, I didn't consciously know this. It was just a pattern that I was, recreating from what I saw as a child. So as I go into relationships, if I meet a guy that's nice, which I have met numerous nice guys, if they were nice, they showed me affection, they listened to me, they cared about what I had to say, they were willing to compromise, maybe they were gentle and kind and affectionate and showed me positive attention. That scared the fuck out of me. It was so uncomfortable, and I was like, fuck no. My lady parts, all of it shuts down. I am not sexually attracted because I'm like, I don't know what this is. This is nasty. I don't want that. He's fucking... Sorry, I was going to say some shit. I'm going to be me. This is my podcast, so fuck it. I'm not sexually interested in these pussies, right? I need a man that's going to, have a backbone. I need a man with a backbone is what I would tell myself. That's fucking bullshit. Anyway, I would not be attracted to these men because I didn't believe that I was worthy of being loved. And what they were showing me was love. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't believe it. I didn't believe it about myself. I didn't believe it about relationships. However, when I was around a man who was maybe charming at first, right? Doting at first, but there was definitely a difference. I felt the difference between the charming, snaky guys and the nice guys. I could feel it. You would think that it would be the same thing and I wouldn't notice at first, but I knew it. And so it was like the kind of aloof guys that gave you attention. They were a little hard to get. It was a little bit of a chase. Maybe they were hot. But they would maybe use emotional manipulation. They would talk me out of my boundaries. So like if I was like, hey, I don't want to do this, they'd be like, yeah, but, and then I'd be like, yeah, you're right. I should just keep this person happy, right? It was a challenge. It was what it was doing was I was picking the guys that would reflect back to me that I'm not worthy, that I don't love myself, that relationships should be difficult, that you should settle as a woman, that you should not get your needs met, because, who are you to think that you should have needs met? No. And so the environment reflected it back to me. I manifested all of my relationships. All of them. All of them. I've manifested them all. And it was a clear, direct reflection of how I felt about myself and what I believed about myself and what I believed about relationships. I'll get into later on today about how I manifested my husband, but that is a prime example of how what you believe will become your reality. So the important piece to step one about being specific as to what you want is that you have to review what do you believe in reference to what you want. Did you grow up in a lack mentality in your home? Did you grow up poor? Or did you grow up middle class or upper class, but everything was said to you, it should be a struggle. You have to work 40 to 60 hours just to make ends meet. Money come, money go, right? Did you believe that you're not supposed to like your job? Did you grow up being told, we don't have enough money for that right now. We have to save, which saving is good, but we have to save so much that we're going to just hold on to the money because a bad day is going to come and we need to be prepared. So we can't have fun. We can't enjoy life. We can't go on vacations. We can't afford this. We can't afford that. Oh, there's 3 items on the shelf: low quality, mid quality, high quality. We always go for low quality because we can't afford anything else. Even though it may just be 10, 20 cents difference, and you really think that that's going to add up, no. Not if you believe in abundance. It will always come back. It'll always be replenished. The universe is always wanting to fill your cup. But you have to give them a cup. Can't give them a cup with a hole in it, or no bottom, or no sides. You have to give them the cup so that they can fill it. So it's very important that you know what your beliefs are about what you are wanting. So do the work. And once you've identified what are your actual limiting beliefs, you can do some journaling around it. You can seek out a therapist to help you with your core beliefs. You can read some books. You can talk to some friends that have maybe gone through it and they've worked it out themselves. There's tons of different ways to sort of work through that. So maybe later on we can have some episodes about that. But know what your limiting beliefs are. And if your limiting belief is literally, I don't believe in this bullshit, it's probably not going to work, homie. It's probably not going to work. So if you don't believe it can work, I would say start small. Start something manageable. Don't try to manifest $1 million job as your first manifestation. Start small. Build up the confidence. Know that you can do it. All right, so that's step one. Write it down. Be specific. Have the intent that this thing that you are wanting to manifest be from your highest and greatest good, or for your highest and greatest good. Write it as if it already is so. Not, I want da 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 da. Just say, a man with the qualities of dot 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 dot. Because you're putting it in current tense, not future. That shows that you don't have it. And don't use the don'ts, the nots, the ors, the buts, none of that. Just know that the universe here is want, 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 want. Kind heart. Want, 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 want. High paying job. I don't know. But be more specific than high paying job because they don't know what that means. Anyway, what does your high paying job mean? And then just pretend as if you're ordering it off of a menu for the universe is your waiter or waitress that will come in and fill your order. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, After this has been written down and you've got it into the terminology and the present tense, sit with it and begin to feel what it would feel like if this was already so. So if it's, I want to manifest a loving partner, sit with the feeling of you already have this partner. Imagine the things they would do that would make you feel like you are truly, fully loved. If you're manifesting the job of your dreams, what would that feel like to walk into your first day, or walking into every day of your job loving what the fuck you do? How would that feel? What's your excitement? Hell, even write down what your perfect day with this thing already being a reality, right? So if it's a partner, I wake up in the morning to the smell of pancakes being made because my partner is making me pancakes. And as I rub my eyes to wake open, and I open my eyes, here's my partner coming in with a glass of orange juice and a cup of coffee and some pancakes with whipped cream smiley face. And it isn't our anniversary, it's just Tuesday. And my partner just wants me to know I love them, or that they love me. Then what? Then I eat my breakfast. Maybe we make love. I take a shower. I go to work. My partner surprises me at work with a dozen roses. And I get to bask in the beautiful feeling of, oh my God, they thought about me and they wanted me to feel special at work. And then when I come home, we decide we're going to go for dinner at my favorite place because he knows that I love this place so much. And after dinner, we take a stroll down the beach and we listen to the waves crash in as we talk deeply about some topic that I really love. And then as the night closes, we go to bed cuddled up, and I can smell him and he holds me. Maybe he caresses me, whatever. Write that out too, for all I care. Imagine it, think it, but the important thing is feel what that feels like. To be fully loved, if that's what you're going for, or to have the job that you love and you're passionate about and it brings you everything that you need as if you already had all the money in the world. What would your perfect job look like? What would your perfect day look like? Start to finish and feel the feelings. What this is doing in this step is this is creating that vibrational frequency to send out to the universe, right? So this is like your beacon call or your like Batman call, like psh, it's in the sky. Universe, I'm ready for love. I'm ready for love. And because you are raising your vibrational pattern, the universe can provide, because it will not provide you anything that is not a vibrational match to you, right? So if your thoughts create your behaviors, which create your environment, like CBT, your thoughts create your vibration, and your vibration is what will allow the different levels to come in, right? So if you want love, but your vibration is low because you think so poorly of yourself, you're going to have a partner that matches that vibration of what you are and what you think about yourself and what you think about relationships. That's the partner that will come in. And that's fine. It's a great reminder. You got some work to do, and that's okay. It's no problem. Don't beat yourself up. So feel it. Really feel what that feels like, to vibe up to the level of what you're going for. And I think that there's a varying degree as to what you can do with this and how frequently to do this, because I do think that there can be a time where you get too attached and sometimes you just have to let this go. So maybe it's for a very short amount of time, like every day for a week or every day for a month. You really maybe need to tap into your own internal guidance, your spirit guides, your team, meditate on it to see what is the time frame that I need to specifically focus on reviewing my list and feeling the vibes, right? I know that Noah Lampert says, as you're falling asleep, which I think is so true, the most work I ever do when it comes to the woo-woo space is always right before I fall asleep. So your body's the most relaxed. Your bullshit in your head, as long as you got it tamed, is the most out of your way. So you have all the mental fortitude to be able to sort of make some of these things start to happen. So as you're falling asleep, feel the feeling. Maybe this is where you go into your mental space to imagine the perfect day as if this was already true. You can also maybe look at your list once a day, either in the morning or right before bed, to look at all the things that you've wanted. Maybe from time to time you need to update the list because you're like, yeah, you know what, that doesn't really fit with what I want anymore. Okay, scratch that off. Let me write it different. But you do need to spend a little bit of time in this space, right? And just set the intention that when you do this, when you feel the feelings as if it were already so, you are creating that vibrational echo for the universe to bring it in. All right. We'll do one more action step and then take a small break. Because you know what? This thing kicks me off at 60 minutes and God forbid, I do that unconsciously again. All right. So the third step is, what actions do you need to take to make this so? Right? So let's say this sounds so fucking egotistical, but it is easiest for me to speak from a place that I've already been. So for me, when I realized in high school that I wanted to become a forensic psychologist, there was no amount of limiting beliefs that I could have gotten through. There was no amount of me writing down being a forensic psychologist and what that would look like and how that would all unfold and what my perfect day would look like. None of that would happen if in high school I said, I'm going to become a forensic psychologist. I wrote it down, created my vision board, sat in the feeling and said, okay, universe, I'm ready. And this is where I think the biggest pitfall of the law of attraction is it made it seem as if you don't have to do anything to make this happen. Motherfuckers, I wish we were that magical, but we're on fucking Earth and we're goddamn humans. So we have to take an action step. For me, when it came to become a forensic psychologist, I had to look up, well, what does it take to be a forensic psychologist, right? No one's going to hire a high school student with waitressing skills to become a forensic psychologist working in a prison or to do, assessments for people in the prison setting or, anything like that. Not going to happen. They're going to laugh at me if I walk in going, well, I'm manifesting my reality and my vision board says I'm ready. Hell no. Hell to the no. So you have to do the action steps. And this may take time, and that's okay. But what I had to do was I had to find out, what does it take to be a forensic psychologist? So as soon as I found one in undergrad, I went up to him, as you might remember in one of my other episodes, and I said to him, can I please volunteer to be your assistant or work for you in any way? Now, what I should have said if I had a little bit more confidence in myself is, are you hiring? Is there anything I can do? I'm very interested in becoming a forensic psychologist. Maybe allowed the universe to manifest some fucking money for that because I did it for free, but a lot of what you have to do in psychology to become a psychologist is a lot of free work. Which maybe I'll do a podcast on that one day about, do y'all know what the hell it takes to become a psychologist? Do you really want to fucking do it? Anyway, not today. So, what action steps did I need to take? So I linked myself up with a forensic psychologist so that I could learn what I would have to do. And of course, he's like, get a doctorate, You have to become licensed. You need all this training and all this experience and all this stuff. So I knew, what are my action steps, right? I'm not going to manifest becoming a forensic psychologist overnight, in a year, or even in 5 years. It took me time because I had to go through undergrad. Then I had to go through my master's program, then my doctorate program, and I did work along the way because you don't get hired as a psychologist without experience. So I had to take all those action steps to finally become a forensic psychologist. If it's love that you're trying to manifest, right? You can't sit at home waiting for somebody to knock on your door unless you're my husband, and he literally did, because, I don't know, he's a magic manifester. Because that was our story. I actually knocked on his door and entered into his life. But anyway, so for love, you need to work on yourself. Who are you as a partner? Are you the kind of partner you would want to date? And if you're not, why? Do your work so that you're the kind of person that your partner you're trying to manifest would want to be with. You got to attract them too. This is a two-way street, folks. So not only that, but are you putting yourself out there? Or are you sitting at home waiting for somebody to show up at your door? Or are you putting yourself out there? Are you going to bars? Are you telling friends, hey, can you hook me up with anyone that you think would be a good match? Are you going online, trying to date online? Like, you have to put yourself out there. And the other thing, this goes out for my ladies, so fucked up that it's a double standard, but ladies, are you dressing the part of being the kind of partner that you want? Or are you sitting around, especially during COVID, with your sweats on, your hair all fucked up, looking a fool? So if he did show up at your door, would you be ready for him? Now, I'm not saying you got to get dolled up and put your lashes on and wear a fancy outfit every day. But what I am saying, and I think that this has been very helpful not only for myself, but for a lot of my clients, we can get stuck in a rut, right? And if we're feeling frumpy and we're not feeling beautiful, whatever beautiful means to you, it's different for everybody. If you don't feel beautiful, guess whose vibration is going right back down in the shitter? Yours. So right when COVID happened and I first started working from home, I made a point that when I got up and I started my morning, that even though I got to work from a computer and nobody could see me, nobody could see whether I was wearing pajamas or not, I made it a point to get out of my pajamas. Now, that didn't mean that I had to get dressed up as if I was going into the office, but I did definitely brush my hair. I brush my teeth because even though nobody can smell my breath, I can smell my breath and I want to feel like I smell right. Deodorant's smart. Sometimes I would just put on a really comfy long skirt because it's not sweatpants, but it's comfortable. And maybe I would change just into shorts and a t-shirt, but it wasn't my pajamas because I was saying, okay, I'm out of sleep mode. I'm into work mode now. And so it was like I was putting on the persona of that. Now, since then, now that I've quit my prison job and I'm actually following my passion, I work 6 days a week and I am in front of a camera. So I do actually put my makeup on and I do my hair, and I do wear nice clothes, but I'm actually trying to dress as the feminine goddess that I want to embody, right? So now I'm wearing skirts again, and I'm wearing crop tops, and I'm wearing cute clothes, and I'm like, fuck it, I love turquoise, so I'm going to wear the shit out of turquoise. And maybe my turquoise earrings don't match my skirt, but all you can see is from like my chest up, so it doesn't matter. But I feel beautiful. I feel beautiful by putting my makeup on, by making my hair look nice, and so my vibration is up. My vibration is in a good space so that when I get prepared for my work day, I'm not feeling down and depressed on myself because I feel good. I feel pretty. I look in the mirror and go, hey you. And then on Saturdays, I get out of my pajamas and I put something on, and I usually don't wear makeup. Worst case scenario, if I'm feeling like I'm not that pretty, and I just need a little pick-me-up, I'll do like a little bit of tinted cream on my face just to sort of even out my skin tone, and maybe some mascara just to frame my eyes, just simple basic stuff. But I do that, right? And I've told some of my female clients, give it a try just for a week and see what happens. And I tell you what, every single one of them, hands down, they're like, I'm still going to do it. And it's not to say that like we aren't beautiful without makeup, because if you can feel beautiful without your makeup, by all means, ladies, just change your outfit out of your pajamas. Maybe throw your hair into some cute little funky do, whatever's going to make you feel vibrationally where you want to be. That's what I'm saying. So, what do you have to do if you are going for a job, right? And you know that like to be a good candidate for this job, you have to take an extra course to set you apart from everybody else. Then take the extra course. Do the action steps to set you up so that when you show up, the universe can say, yes, I can give this to you, because this isn't magic fairyland where you get to, jump timelines and all of a sudden go from being a broke college student into $1 million job. What are the steps you have to take to eventually get into that $1 million job? So take the action steps. Yeah, I think that's a good place to pause. So we'll pause here and we'll be back. Have you heard about Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast, and it's the way I'm making my podcast right now. And it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. And Anchor is going to distribute your podcast to all the major important places you would ever want, like Spotify and Apple and so many more places. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. I love it. It's so simple. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Welcome back. Okay, so step 4. If I have these written down correctly, we should be on 4. All right, so the next step, you've done all your actions to set yourself up so that way, the universe can provide. Number 4, let go of a time frame. Also, let go of the specifics of your outcome. I know I said be specific, but you need to let go of the specifics. You told them, you made your order. The universe will provide to you when you are ready, and also when it's in your highest and greatest good. Now, this may be that you are ready, right? You've done all the things that you needed to do. You have looked at your beliefs. You have done all the work to become the best partner that you can imagine to be. What if your magic perfect partner hasn't done their work fully yet? Well, you might have to wait a little longer then. What if you are manifesting your perfect job, but the position hasn't opened yet, right? So you got to wait. It will come when it's time and when you're ready and when it's in your highest and greatest good. So let that go. And this can be frustrating because it may not happen in the time frame that you think is fair or what you want it to be, but it will come. Just let it go. So this is kind of where I toggle between, what do they say? Oh God, I want to say something, but I don't think this is it. Set it and let it be. I don't fucking know. Anyway, that was dumb. Should have just let that one go, but I didn't. But anyway, so put it out there, get in your vibrational pattern, but then also don't become consumed. When is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? Because now you're putting that anxiety in there and you're vibing back down out of your manifestation. Just let it be. Let it go. Have faith and confidence that the universe will provide. All right. Step 5. This is very important. Take notes, kids. Be willing to receive what the universe gives you. Are you going to allow it in? I say this because you may think that the best job for you is working at this specific place, doing this specific job. What if other jobs come along that actually would have provided you exactly what you wanted? You know, the basics of, I want to be paid a salary of $80,000 because maybe last year you made 60 or 70, and so 80,000 would be an appropriate jump from the year before. I want to make 80,000. I want to work with animals. I want to like who I work with. I want to work, within a 30-mile commute of where I live, something like that. And let's say you're only focusing your attention on this one place you thought, that's where I want to go. That's where. But you're not looking at all these opportunities the universe is setting up for you that would have given you what you ordered. But you think, well, no, it's not that, so I don't want it. I'm not going to look at that because that isn't how I wanted it. Well, now you're telling the universe, sorry, I don't want it. Well, now you're not going to get it. So be willing to receive. Also, maybe you need money, right? Maybe you're working on abundance of money and you're getting close to having your rent due and you don't have enough money at this moment. And you think that you need to get this money through making more money at your job. However, a relative who you haven't spoken to in a while passes away and leaves you $3,000. Maybe that was exactly what you needed to pay your rent, right? What if you're saying to your friend, yeah, oh man, I'm really struggling this month. It's hard. And your friend goes, oh, I'd actually like to give you $3,000. Are you going to tell your friend no? Which is in fact telling the universe no, because you needed the $3,000 to make your ends meet. Are you going to have your pride step in the way and say, no, I'm not going to take it because that's not the way I wanted this money. I wanted this money by getting an extra job detail because that's how I feel okay having money come into my life. Bitch, you're looking at your limited beliefs, okay? Your limited belief is I can only have money come in by me doing work. So if a family, a friend, or maybe a stranger buys you a cup of coffee, right? And you're like, no, I can't say yes. That's telling the universe no. Even if that cup of coffee isn't what was going to pay your rent, maybe that's just the universe going, are you going to receive when we want to give you, when you're asking for abundance? Or are you going to tell us no? So check that shit out. That's a big one. What's that old, I think it's a biblical verse, right? This dude is out in the middle of a river in a big storm. He's trapped and he's praying to God, God, please, please send me help. I'm worried I'm going to drown or what have you. Whoever knows this, you're probably screaming, you're getting it all wrong. Well, tough titty. This is how I remember it. So, God, please help me. So then this guy paddles by in a boat, right? And he says, hey, you want to lift? And the guy goes, no, I'm waiting on God. I'm waiting for God to answer my prayer. He's like, okay. So then he paddles on by. God, please, please save me. I'm going to drown. I'm only on this little board and I'm going to drown. Send me help. So then something else comes by. Hey, do you want help? I can help you right now. And they go, no, I'm waiting for God to come. Then all of a sudden the storm swallows him up and he dies. And he sees God and he says, God, I prayed for you to come help me. Why didn't you come help me? And God says, I sent all those people by to go help you. Why didn't you take it? So be willing to receive, because the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, may be trying to give you what you're asking for. But you think it's supposed to come in a specific way, or just watch that, because again, those are with your limiting beliefs, but allow things in. The more that you say yes to the universe giving, the more you are going to be able to receive. So those are the 5 steps. Let me go over it one more time, and then I'm going to give you some little tidbits to end the conversation. So step 1, write it down and be specific. This should be done with the intent for your highest and greatest good. Use present tense terms, and don't tell the universe what you don't want. Tell it exactly what you do want. Step 2, imagine the feeling that's associated with actually having this, and then feel this. Feel the feeling. This will help to raise your vibration to match what you were trying to get, so that it can come in for you. Check in with your spirit team, or your guides, or your intuition, or meditate on how long you should do that for, to actually take the action step of feeling the vibration of what you're wanting. Maybe it's every day until it happens. Maybe it's only for a small amount of time. Step 3, what are the action steps that you need to take? Because while this world is filled with magical occurrences, you are still human, and you cannot just poof, $1 million job overnight. So what do you need to take? What steps do you need to take to set you up for the job of your dreams, the friends that you've always wanted, the relationship of your dreams, whatever. So think about that. What do you need to do to prepare yourself so that when it's time, that you are actually ready? Step 4, let go of the time that this should take, or what you want it to happen in, and let go of the actual specifics of how it will play out, because it may play out a little bit different than what you're imagining, and that's okay, right? You can imagine your perfect day, and it doesn't have to be specifically that. It doesn't mean that if it doesn't do a 1-for-1 match layover, that means it wasn't good for you. You're just kind of giving it a vibrational pattern to call it in and bring it in for you, and it should be pretty close. And then the final step is be willing to receive what the universe is going to give you as it relates to what you're trying to manifest. Are you allowing it in? Are you allowing abundance of anything to come in? Okay, so some tips. Allow what you want to flow. So if you're looking for love, how can you give love, right? How can you, if you want to receive love from friends or from colleagues or from your family, how can you just give love with no expectation? Just, again, you can think of it as, I'm vibing at this level, I'm giving it out. This is allowing flow to happen. If you are trying to manifest financial abundance, then make sure that you're not gripping on to every dollar that you've got. Don't hold on to things and hoard the money. Don't hoard your love waiting for the perfect partner. No, give that shit out so it can come back to you. So have a savings by all means. You need to have a savings. You need to be prepared for bad times. But don't pinch every penny and not enjoy life. Spend. Have the money flowing in and flowing out. Create a pocketbook where the universe can dump money into it. So if that means that you need to have a GoFundMe page, if you need to have your services out there so that people can book your services, which would then give you financial abundance, like how can you put out there the pocketbook to say, okay, universe, I'm ready for you. Here is the empty cup, which has no holes because I've patched it all up. I'm ready to receive what you have to give me. So don't hoard it and let it flow, but be reasonable. Obviously, if you're trying to create financial abundance and you have a ton of credit card debt, pay your credit card debt off first, right? Because that's the deficit. And then that way the plus can come in. Take care of yourself responsibly. If you do have a problem with spending money, then be smart about it. Don't go and blow all your money, but maybe if you've got a choice between two items, one is $1 and one is $1.15, but you really want the one that's $1.15, it's 15 fucking cents. Let that shit go. All right. So be in flow, I think, is a huge tip. Okay. You want to hear about how I manifested my husband? Whew. All right. This is a crazy story. So first off, as soon as I left my ex-husband, which I talked to you guys about in episode number 7, I had to take a long, hard look and do an inventory on myself. What do I think about myself? How do I feel about myself? What are my beliefs about love? And it took me a long time to focus on learning to love myself. And it wasn't overnight. I did not manifest him right away. I think, let's see, I manifested him, I think 7 years later. No, sorry, 5 years later. So it took me 5 years to manifest him. Okay, so I'm not saying this is overnight. So I did all my work, right? I read a lot of self-help books. I was still dating. I was still making mistakes, but each relationship I was trying to learn something. I was trying to hone my craft. Figuring out where I still was getting it wrong, how I can love myself more. And when it really took a pivotal turn for me, I was at the lowest point. I had no friends. I was lonely. I think I may have talked about this a little bit. And so I was starting to work with some spiritual workers, and whether they told me to do this specifically or it was between them and The Secret and all these other things, I just started to date myself. And I took myself on all the dates that I would want my partner to take me out on. And I did it within reason. I didn't have a whole lot of money, but I treated myself. I would tell myself that I loved myself. I would journal. I would meditate on it, loving myself. I would take baths to show myself love. And then one day I actually just took a piece of paper, and I still have it to this day, and I wrote down all the qualities that I wanted in a partner or in a husband. And I kept it by my nightstand, and I looked at it often, and I would read it. And I didn't have this whole like how-to steps. I guess was intuitively, and probably some of the other things that I had heard, just sort of piecemealing everything together to create it. And I let it go. In fact, when I met him, I wasn't looking for a relationship at all. I had just gotten out of another on-again, off-again relationship where I was not showing myself love. I allowed a guy to break up with me for dumb reasons and then beg for him back, and wasn't looking for love. In fact, I had said, I want 6 months off. I need to reevaluate what I'm doing. I'm clearly still not getting it on this whole self-love thing, and my heart was absolutely broken. I have this thing where every time I would break up with a guy, I would cut my hair, because I'm like, well, guys don't like short hair. So if I cut my hair, I won't be attractive to anyone. So even if I wanted it desperately, like, they won't come for it anyway. Well, it was crazily, okay, so the guy I was dating on again, off again for about a year. Yeah, a little over a year. We were on again and off again. We would be like on for a couple months, off for maybe a few weeks, on again for a month or two, off for like a month. And so it was me who finally called it off. And maybe that's what it took. Oh, shit. Maybe that's it. Fuck. Anyway, I did a mushroom trip. And in the mushroom trip, apparently they had asked me this person that I was with, is he the man of your dreams? Is he your soulmate? Is this the person you're supposed to be with? I don't remember this because I guess every time I took the hero's dose. I don't remember it. The leader talked to me about it afterwards, and they're like, yeah, you said no. And I was like, seems awfully convenient, because I was still like, no, I think we're supposed to be together. And he was like, no, you said that he was not the one for you. And I was like, okay. Wasn't putting a lot of vested interest in it, but I did realize that I was sort of getting sick of this back and forth shit. And he was not the kind of guy that would respect my boundaries. So if I said I was tired, if I said I needed something, or I needed him to leave me alone, if it didn't align with what his desires and anxieties and frustrations were, then he would pressure me into doing what he wanted. So I had told him, because we were kind of back on. Yeah, we were back on. And I said, hey, I'm going on this spiritual workshop thing. I'm not going to have my phone on me, because I did not tell anyone I was doing mushrooms at the time. I'm not going to have my phone on me. My dog's in daycare. I've got it. Everything's fine. I don't need your help. I'm good, right? Apparently he was blowing up my phone. I think spiritually he must have known something was up, because probably my spiritualness was detaching from his, and maybe he energetically felt that and didn't understand why, but he blew up my phone, was like, hey, I picked up your dog from daycare. He's at my house, you can come pick him up whenever. Are you okay? Like, reach out to me. And I was like, I got annoyed, because I was like, I fucking told him I had my life sorted out. Why is he not honoring and respecting the fact that I just wanted to do this and do my own fucking thing for a day? Like, I don't need to talk to him all day, every day. Anyway, I went upstairs, and normally on mushrooms you don't get sick. Well, I got sick. I was throwing up, and they were like, oh, you're purging some shit. And I'm like, whatever, it's the mushrooms. But this girl went up with me, I guess, who was also dealing with some relationship stuff. And so I had just vomited, and she was taking care of me, and we were talking. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one of the doors slams, and she looks at me and she goes, that was for you. That wasn't for me. And I was like, fuck, because I was just talking about him and how, like, yeah, I'm probably going to go over to his house tonight and hang out and blah, blah, blah. Door slams, and she goes, that was for you. That wasn't for me. And I was like, fuck. Still hadn't made up my mind yet. Drive to his place from where I was at took about 45 minutes or so. And somehow I just knew. I don't know, I just knew. It was over. And so I'm at his place. I grab my dog. I'm sitting there for like maybe 20 minutes. I'm so quiet. I'm sure he knows something's up. And he's like, what's wrong with you? Like, where were you? What was that? Were you doing drugs? And I was like, no. Yes, I was. Anyway, and I just sit him down, and I hold his hand, and I go, hey, we had a great run. I really appreciate everything. I did have fun. We learned a lot from each other, and it's just that our time is up. But I love you, and I always will, and thank you for everything. And he didn't fight me, which I kind of, like, low-key, I was like, bitch, you're not going to fight for this shit? But, like, thank God he didn't, because who knows if I would have been like, okay, you're right, I'll stay with you. But anyway, I drove home, and I cried, and I was sad, and I was, like, pretty sure that I was really sure that I knew that I'd done the right thing, that this wasn't just a drug, and that I was just listening to some spiritual guy tell me I needed to break up with this guy. It was like, I really knew deep down that I was sick and tired of being treated like that. That he was going to come up with dumbass excuses to break up with me, break my heart, then demand me to be back, and how he missed me so much. But then it was always about how he suffered without me, never about how he hurt me and broke my heart, and what my experience was like over the year of him breaking up with me, and then unexpectedly, and then wanting me back, and this whole game bullshit. So anyway, I guess that was what maybe opened the door. But what was crazy is 2 weeks go by, and I'm like this is where I cut my hair, and I'm like, I need 6 months off. Thank God. Like, I just need to reevaluate my life, get my shit back together. And my friend at the time, she knew everything that was going on, and she just moved in like maybe a month or two before to this new place, this new house, kind of outside of the city a bit. And she hadn't invited me over yet, which was odd for her because we would hang out like, several times in the month. We would get together like almost once a week, if not more. And she'd kind of been MIA for a while, but she was like, hey, come over to this new place that I'm at. It was a guy that she had gone on like a date or two with, but they just didn't hit it off in like that kind of way. It was more of a platonic relationship. And so he had a spare room, and she was having a job that was closer to where he lived. And so he was like, hey, you can rent one of my rooms. It's fine. And so she did. And so she finally invited me over, and it was like come over, we'll hang out at the pool, we'll barbecue up some stuff and drink and have a good time, and we'll just have a thing of it. She doesn't tell me anything beyond that, right? She doesn't say anything about him being there or not, just come over. I'm like, okay. I think it's the day of. She goes, hey, you sure you want to come? And I was like, yeah. Pool party? Fuck yeah. Drinking? Yeah. Why would I not? So still don't think anything of it. So I show up at this house. It's just her and I. And, as I'm driving up, I'm like, now don't be a dumbass and like, try to like flirt with anybody. Like, this is just you and your girlfriend's time. You're not wanting to be in a relationship. Just fucking cool it. Like, don't be desperate. Like, you're taking 6 months off. And I really wanted that. But for whatever reason, I was thinking that probably because I know myself. And I'm like, man's attention. Yes, please. So anyway, we're hanging out. We're doing our thing. And I think we're inside of the house chit-chatting, and he walks in. And I'm like, whoa, he's hot. And, but I don't think anything of it. I'm like, put your guard up. Fuck this shit. You're not going to like anybody. You're not going to flirt. You're not going to do any of this bullshit. So I did. And she and I were chatting, and he was kind of like texting as we're chatting. And he's like friendly, but so distracted. And he says something like a minute or two after we'd been talking about whatever the topic was. And I go, welcome to the conversation. And apparently for him, that was when it did it for him, because I was sassy and I was calling him out on his shit. And he liked that. Nothing still was going on for me. I was just like, he's hot, whatever. So she and I go hang out at the pool. We do our thing for a couple hours. And I come in because I got to use the restroom. And I'm like, okay, don't be a fucking douche canoe and not be polite. At least be polite. Like, you kind of were a little rude. Be polite to this guy. It is his house. So I come in to go to the bathroom, and we just have casual conversation like, hey, how are you? What's going on? Nice house. I like it. And we find out that there are some very random things that we both like. Like, we both like the show The Young Ones. It's a British show, punk rock show from like the 80s that I used to watch and he used to watch. And so we're like, whoa, that's kind of cool. Maybe we talk for 15, 20 minutes, but this is the moment where I realize, oh, he's not a total asshole. Okay, Anyway, letting it go. Then we do start to flirt, right? So both of us are kind of like, this is an interesting person. And we flirt, and as the night progresses, we get more and more flirty. And he's like splashing me, and I'm like, obviously you're flirting with me because that's what you do in grade school, but you haven't grown up or something. Like, I'm just naughty. I'm so sassy because I'm like, you don't want to do this. You want to be single for 6 months. I end up drinking a lot, and he's like, you should stay. And my friend's like, yes, I'll bring you a blanket, stay, keep drinking. It'll all be fine. So I'm like, okay, fine. And my whole plan was, I'm going to stay on the couch. Everything's going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen. It's going to be fine. The next day I'll leave and everything will be fine. And so I do. I do stay. We end up kissing. It was so cute and romantic the way we ended up having our very first kiss. So memorable. And I ended up not staying on the couch. But, folks, I didn't have sex. All I did was make out. Because I know that if you sleep with a man, it's the exception to the rule that a man is not going to think that you might be easy or put you into that category of like, oh, this is just a sexual thing, not a relationship. So, plus, again, 6 months I want off, right, from men. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And I don't know, I can't casually sleep with people. As soon as sex happens, I'm in emotionally. So it's just not going to happen for me. So anyway, so I stay the night. I sleep in his bed. We only make out. The next day, we hang out. We have a good time. He takes me for a ride on his motorcycle to go pick up food for my dog because my poor dog, like I brought enough food for the day, but not enough for the next day. And so I hang out for a little bit. We talk about whether or not, certain things in our lives we share similarities with, right? Very pivotal things like children, marriage, all that stuff. And I don't know why I asked him this, probably to be like, yeah, you probably don't. And we just, I'm, again, not looking for a relationship. Let's just go ahead and call it a thing. And so we had that conversation. Our things did not align as to what we both wanted. So I literally, as soon as he was like, yeah, I'm not into that. And I was like, okay, cool. Totally respect that. I'm on a different path. I do want these things. So I guess I'm just going to go, right? Like very mature. And so I grabbed my couple of things. I'm about to walk out the door, wishing him the best. For some reason, I decide, because I had such an interesting connection with him, I come back into the house and I just give him a kiss. And he says that was one of the most memorable things, was when I came back to give him a kiss, to be like, I really appreciate you and you're a great person. And I leave and I cry on my way home for a guy that I know for less than 24 hours at this point. It was so weird. What was interesting was the time frame of this, because we met, I think 3 or 4 days before he had pretty serious back surgery. And, I sent him, I get home and I'm missing him, and I'm like, why do you miss him? Why did you cry? You're so dumb. Get over it. And so I just sent him a text I'm really sad that things couldn't work out. I really wish you the best. Kind of trying to keep the door a little ajar, because I was like, I don't really want to let this one go, but I need to because it's in our best interest. So, fucking universe, he only gets a portion of that text, and it's pretty much the portion that's thanks so much, have a nice life. And so he doesn't respond. And I'm like, damn, well, fair enough, right? I did just walk out and tell him, not interested in you. So it's 2 or 3 days later, I had been out to the beach, boogie boarding on my own. And for me, water is magical, and it can be very spiritual and healing, and I just couldn't stop thinking about him that day. And it was weird. Again, knew him for less than 24 hours. Why is he on my mind? And I'm stuck in traffic on the way home from the beach, and I just texted him because the next day was the surgery, and I wished him luck. And it ends up being that we end up talking for hours. And I ask him, hey, you never responded back. And he's like, well, you just told me, pretty much have a nice life. And I was like, that's all you got? And he's like, yeah. And then we, laugh about it. And I'm like, let me show you what I actually texted you. And it's, this long thing. And he's like, oh, my God, had I seen that, I would have totally responded to you. I'd been thinking about you, too. And I just didn't know what to make of this, right? But I had seen somebody between, I don't know, at some point early in our relationship, because I did leave him technically twice, where I was just freaking out, and I'm like, no, we don't want the same things. I don't want to do this. What's the point of doing this if we're just going to get hurt? But at some point early in our relationship, I had gone to a spiritual person and they tapped into his energy and said, you don't want to be with him. And I'm like, no, he doesn't want the same things I want. And they're like, well, it might be smart for you to just keep him in your life, even if it's just as a friend. And I was like, whatever, fine, maybe. But I had like a 3D moment where I think I had left him for a few days and I was like, yeah, I just need to sort my life out. You and I don't want the same things. I just feel like we're both going to get hurt at the end of this because we don't want the same things. So I just don't want to do this, right? And so I think the most I ever left him was for like a week or so, but we would always end up still talking because I just couldn't stop talking to him. He was just an amazing person. We had so much to talk about. And so there was this time where my ex had reached out to me and was like, oh, I've missed you, blah, blah, blah. In fact, it was the year that Obama got reelected. I remember because my ex and I had gone out to dinner and it was the same old fucking shit where he droned on for over an hour, maybe 2 hours, about how his life was not the same without me and he was miserable and he. And all I could think about was my future husband. And I was exhausted and I was just like, I just want to go home. And so I did. And whether it was that night or the following, no, I'm sorry. It was a different night. It was like the next night or 2 nights from then. I was at work, my internship, and it was a long day. I was exhausted and it was a long drive home. And my ex was reaching out to me and he was like, hey, I really want to talk to you. And I was like, dude, I'm tired. I just want to go to bed. Like, no, I don't want to talk. And he's like, please, I really need to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. And same thing. I told my husband, well, he wasn't at the time, but I told him like, hey, I've had a long day. And he's like, okay, cool. Have a great night and we'll talk whenever you're ready. And so I was like, okay. And the ex was just hounding me. And he was like, I promise it'll only be for a few minutes and I'll let you go. And so I was like, fine. So I said that to my ex and he called me and it wasn't a few minutes. And I knew it wasn't going to be a few minutes. And it was all about him, he this, he that, blah, 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 blah. And I just was like sitting there for the moment. And in the 3D moment, I go, why am I wasting my time on somebody who can't respect my boundaries, really has no interest in me? They're just trying to serve themselves through me, being there for them, but they aren't there for me. Why am I doing this when there's another person on the other side who, yes, maybe we disagree on 2 important things, but he respects my no. He isn't pushy. He's laid back and he lets me be me. And that was sort of the day that I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And I allowed it in. And I just said, you know what? And I straight up told my current husband, I said, fuck it. Maybe we're going to get hurt. But for some reason, I just feel like I need to do this with you. Are you cool with that? And he's like, absolutely. Let's do it. I want to be in a relationship with you. One of the things that we originally said when I asked him if he was down to get married again, and he said no. And I wanted to get married again. Well, kids, we're married. It took 7 years, but we are finally fucking married. And I didn't force him to change his mind. I had some tough conversations with him and was like, I don't understand why, if you treat me like your wife and we live like we're husband and wife and you want me in your will and all these things, why then? What is holding you back? And so he had to do his work, but he did. And so when I pulled out that list and I showed him the list, we both laughed at how I actually wrote all the characteristics he is and all the characteristics of our relationship was down on that piece of paper. Everything to a T. I manifested him. But I also had to allow him in because he was trying and I was pushing him away. But when I finally allowed him in, and he finally allowed me in, we ended up having this beautiful magical relationship where after 8 years, I am more in love with him today than I've ever been. And we have a deeper connection today than all of the almost 8 years combined to this day. I manifested him. Somehow he manifested me too, because he got me to come to his fucking door. Like, what kind of service is that? Like, amazing. That doesn't happen usually. So don't expect your perfect mate to be showing up at your door for you to show up at their door. But that is how I manifested my husband. So when it comes to abundance, the other thing is to realize, going off on a different tangent, is that there is no such thing as lack. Abundance is always out there when it comes to money, when it comes to love, when it comes to everything. The universe is abundant. You just have to believe it. So if you need money, look back. Like for me, I've realized, and I've even said this to my husband over the years when he's come on really hard times, and it's like, look at your life. Have you ever truly been without? Have you ever been homeless? Have you ever, not been able to pay your bills and have a really negative outcome? Yeah, you might rack up some credit card debt. Yeah, you might need to have your family help you out. And yeah, you might struggle financially, but I've always been okay. The universe has always provided. And I've had my financial struggles, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that this is a clear linear path where you just do the 5 steps and poof, things happen. But what I am saying is that look at all the ways in which you have been abundant. Look at all the ways in which people have shown up for you. And like I had my cousin and his mother both had terminal cancer, and they actually died within a few months of each other. And as a family, we were all flying out to go be with them one last time as the family whole. And I didn't have the money, and my mom didn't have the money to help me. So I wasn't going to go. And a friend of mine offered to pay for the ticket. And I could have let my ego step aside and say, nope, you're not going to take it. And it was hard for me to take it, but I did. And I was so grateful, and I made the most of that trip. And I'm so grateful for that friend for allowing me to go and actually be with my cousin and my aunt one last time. And it was just incredible to be able to have that experience. And I have found ways that now that I have had more financial abundance in my life to give back. So when some of my friends that maybe I haven't even spoken to in 10 plus years find out that they've got a really horrible disease and they have a GoFundMe, I went in and donated. And I didn't just donate what I felt was comfortable. I donated more than what I felt was comfortable, because I'm like, hey, this is my way of giving back and to keep the flow going. And like another friend, needed help with wedding expenses. So my husband and I bought her wedding dress so that she could have the dress of her dreams. And so I have received a lot from people. And my way of keeping it flowing is to then pass it back. And even if that means I buy the person behind me, a cup of coffee in Starbucks because I feel like I'm not believing in abundance and I have to get it flowing, get it going. All that stuff, it matters. So be aware of that. Realize the ways in which you've always been okay, whether it was with love or jobs or money. Find where the abundance has always been in your life. So here's a workout analogy that my husband and I were talking about today, which I think kind of helps to bring some of this into reality, is like, let's say you want your perfect body, right? You can't sit there and manifest and vibe up to the level of your body and all of a sudden you're going to have great abs and toned ass and big biceps. No, it's not going to happen. We're still humans. and we still are on Earth. And you are working under Earth's timeline and Earth's physical rules, right? So you have to put in the time, and you have to go into the gym, and you have to lift the weights. You may be thinking, well, then how is this really manifesting, right? Because I'm just putting in the work. Right. You're right. And it's going to take time. It's not going to be a few weeks. It may not even be a few months to get your perfect body. But if you have limiting beliefs that you're not good enough, that it's not worth it, that no matter how much you work out or eat right, that no matter what, you're still going to be overweight, you're going to engage in self-sabotage, unconscious self-sabotage, which may be, creating too strict of rules for working out and for eating, and then you find that it's not manageable, so then you binge eat over the weekend, and then you fall off the wagon, you say, fuck it, I can't do this, or, you don't work out consistently, and then you fall off the wagon and you say, fuck it, it's not worth it because I don't have abs in a week. So just be mindful that you're working with the laws and the rules that are governed by Earth. We aren't magic beings, even though a lot of shit can feel magical. But you are a human, you have a human body, and you're working with earthly aspects. So things will take time, and what you think and believe about yourself and your limiting beliefs can create self-sabotage. So be mindful of that. Final thing, it is normal. It is absolutely expected that you're going to hit roadblocks. I talk about this with a lot of my clients who will be doing amazing work. They find lots of blockages removed, tons of great progress with their mental health, and then they have a bad week. Maybe they're going through a divorce and they're signing the divorce papers, and it takes them back to a terrible emotional state, and they go, what the fuck? I thought I fixed it. Here I am right back where I started. It's not worth it. This work isn't worth it. I'm always going to be like this forever. And it's like, no, you just hit a roadblock. And so the way I like to describe this to my clients is this is a way in which it's like a quiz, pop quiz, right? Pop quiz, life's going to throw something at you. See, are you really vested in this? Are you really putting forth the effort to make these changes? So it will show you the areas that you've done really well at, because it will come easy this time. And the areas that you still struggle with. Is it your beliefs? Is it that you've been able to accept this part of yourself already, but you still have these other areas that are like your shadow hidden side that you're not accepting? And so that's where we need to continue doing work on. And then sometimes you have final exams where there's a big major life event that is really testing all of this out. Are you really going to manifest what you want? So you've got a final exam. How did you do? It's not pass or fail. It's how well did you do? Where are the areas you still need to do work? But I promise you, if you're really genuinely putting in the work and you're really genuinely making the progress and you're taking the action, no matter how many roadblocks you hit or bumps in the road, you are on the right path because you're moving forward. You're moving forward and you're moving into where you want to be. So just look at it as sort of an area to say, am I fully invested? Am I still doing the work, or did I slack a little bit? Not because that's what created a roadblock, but maybe the roadblock is to remind you, hey, get in there, keep doing the work. You forgot, you let yourself down. But this takes time, and so you're definitely, especially for big things that you're trying to manifest, it's going to take a long time, and you're going to hit hurdles to unravel the extra layers around what you're trying to do. So just look at it as a quiz or a final exam, that you're just seeing where are the areas I'm doing well and where are the areas that I still need to do some work. I think I'll end there because I have really, an hour and a half, folks. I am so sorry, but hopefully that was interesting to some degree. All right. I appreciate you all so, so much for listening and supporting this. And please follow me on Instagram and all that. And let me know what your thoughts are. You can also email me intuitive.psych.111@gmail. That's going to be my new email address, that if you have questions or comments, you can email me there. Let me know your thoughts about manifesting. Tell me your manifestation stories. I would love to hear about it. And if you tried this and if it worked or didn't work, maybe we can work through some pitfalls or some ways to sort of get you unblocked. And hopefully one day soon, in the very, very, very soon future, if you want to work with me in a spiritual capacity on working through some of this stuff, then we can. All right. Thank you all so much. Don't forget, the love and the light is within you. Bye. I just wanted to say thank you all so much for your love, support, and continuing to listen to my podcast. If you feel called, I would really appreciate you to subscribe to my podcast and rate it and write a review. When you do that, it helps to put my podcast so that more people can get access to it and know about the podcast. Feel free to share it with anyone that you think might benefit from some of these conversations that we're having. And please be sure to follow me. Primarily, I'm on Instagram at the_intuitive_psychologist_111. I know it's a mouthful. I had to set myself apart from all the other people that kind of had similar names, so I apologize for that. On my Instagram, I not only talk about a lot of the things that I talk about on the podcast, gives you some tips and advice for mental health issues. Every Wednesday, I'm doing a live meditation. The specific time will be to determined, but probably either late afternoon or early evening, Wednesdays Pacific time. And I'm also occasionally on TikTok at Intuitive Psych. You can also email me at intuitive.psych.111@gmail.com. Feel free to email me with any questions, comments, any stories that you'd like to share. And hopefully in the very near future, I will be able to start providing spiritual services because I'm going to manifest that. So if you want to get on the list so that once I get my life sorted on that and get the logistics sorted out so that I can provide spiritual services across state lines, please email me there. If you're in the state of California and you would like to have some work within the spiritual psychology realm, please email the Gmail account and let me know that you heard about me through the podcast, and I will be happy to give you a discounted rate if you mention that you heard me on the podcast. And I'd love to work with you guys. All right. Take care, and I love you all. Stay safe, and remember, you are the light.